Pretend we're in 2007 and you're playing Wii Sports on a spring afternoon. Ambient lighting provided by your fish lamp. Whether it was subconscious or you took notice, we were surrounded by a world of futuristic, glossy, and bubble-filled media. It's been given the name Frutiger Aero, and for a lot of us gives us that feeling of yearning for the past. With lost media in the mix, it adds a whole other aspect. We look to the future with bright and glossy rose-tinted glasses. We were told how digital footprints stay forever. The future we were promised, and the media that's been lost to time. This is the lost media of Frutiger Aero. Let's just get right into it. I can't make the intro Wii-centered and not dive into the Wii's lost history. The first one we'll be discussing actually is related to the aforementioned Wii Sports. Released in 2006 as a launch title, Wii Sports became a staple in every household that owned the console. But 5 months before its official release, a demo was shown at E3 2006. The games included baseball, tennis, golf, and airplane. Now, 3 years later, Resort would have Island Flyover, but there's nothing airplane related in the Wii Sports we've come to know and love. The iconic Frutiger look is still present in the lost demo, though. Additional leaked screenshots even show Mario being playable, but the prototype itself has never been leaked, and will presumably never see the light of day. A unique feature of the Wii was its wide array of channels that would allow you to do different things, like check the weather or vote. You could also upload media to the photo channel using your message board or an SD card. Here you'd not only be able to view them, but play around with various editing tools. What's the lost media, you ask? This cat. I'm being serious, and I nominated as the Frutiger Aero mascot alongside the soft soap fish. Origin of the stock photos used for the photo channel banner is completely unknown, and no one knows where this cat came from. It's featured in the manual with the text, "This is my neighbor's cat. Isn't it cute? Love, Grandma." I reached out to Nintendo myself, but they were unable to help me. However, I'm definitely going to keep researching to find who this cat is.
Mario Galaxy is frequently brought up in Frutiger Aero discussions due to its stunning visuals. There are 2 different betas prior to the game's release that have never surfaced and are therefore lost. Both were shown at E3, one in 2006 and the other in 2007. Some differences between the demos and final release include a less dimensional logo, unused galaxies, different controls to get star bits, and Rosalina's name being Rosetta. However, her name remained Rosetta in the Japan release. It would be cool for these betas to be found, as unused video game content can be quite interesting. Nintendo officials have been contacted with hopes of obtaining the betas, but no one has yet received a response.
Super Paper Mario is the Wii entry of the Paper Mario franchise, but was originally announced as a GameCube release. Besides the obvious of a different controller, the partners were Farins instead of pixels, and based on screenshots, there was a ladder-shaped partner that wouldn't exist in the final release. The available remnants are the E3 trailer, and game footage from the 2006 Next Generation World Hobby Fair in Tokyo. Several areas throughout this game are filled with FA aspects, and the cursor when Mario flips dimensions always made me wonder if the game takes place in some sort of computer. And I think the surreal mathematical formulas in the background strengthens that idea. It truly overflows with a certain charm that no other game has. I'd love for the GameCube version to somehow show up one day, despite it being extremely unlikely. While technically not from the era, I figured Timotainment's Wii Phone video was worth mentioning. Posted in August of 2019, it contained the infamous Wii Phone floating around in space while a voice said the phrase, Wii Phone. It was inspired by the iconic 2008 video, Future Gen Consoles Wii 2, PS4, Xbox 720, that was set to bodies by Drowning Pool. We do have the link to the Timotainment video, but it unluckily wasn't archived on Wayback or seemingly anywhere. Maybe at some point we'll be able to get the video from the creator himself and have a piece of lost media found. Time to get into some television and animations that are on the obscure side but are without a doubt precedents for Frutiger Aero. The Creatures from Planet 66 is a lovely, whimsical lost animation that I adore based on what little we have of it. It was a promotional short for the opening of Roppongi Hills in Japan, and featured 8 characters that were frequently used in advertising the project. We know those who were involved in creating and producing the short, and that it was shown at a few different events over the years. There is a 15-second commercial that features clips from the short, and in a video taken at Ohana Cafe, we can see it was being shown there. This was a pop-up cafe inspired by Takashi Murakami, the creator of The Creatures, and was only open for a month. There are no known full recordings that exist to the public, and these mere seconds are all that has been found.
Dream Chasers was a post-Epcot show for Disney's World Test Track. The premise was 2 characters, Gina and Mo, taking viewers through General Motors' futuristic plans for their vehicles. Parkgoers would sit in these contraptions with headsets built in, and the chairs would even move in synchronization with the show. Due to poor reception, the show was eventually replaced. Someone on a 2002 forum referred to it as a 5-minute commercial for General Motors. There is not a single recording of the show, and all we have are photos of the ride and a few still shots of the animation.
Tales in Mushroom Village is a 2009 CGI series from China that ran from 2009 to 2010, totaling 100 episodes. Only 10 are available, the rest of the series being entirely lost, with barely any information out there. It's uncertain as to what channel it was even broadcast on, and we essentially only know the now defunct production company. Following anthropomorphic characters residing in the village, it's kind of a cottagecore fever dream and includes some music from the Ocarina of Time soundtrack. And for some reason had a sequel called Tales in Mushroom Village: Alien Visitors, but all I could find on this strange successor was a trailer. This is something I could definitely go more in depth on in a future video. The Alpha Jets is a lost children's show that is damn near non-existent. IMDb claims it was released in October of 2002 and ran until 2003. There are hardly any other details on this page besides its country of origin being Hong Kong, supposed cast or crew members, and the production company. According to IMDb, they never produced anything other than the Alpha Jets. And I'm thinking maybe this is a mistake and genuinely isn't real, but the listed director has a website where we can see 2 short clips and a logo for the show. It seems like the show was about these characters traveling through space and teaching children English. One of the videos is a segment about penguins, Frutiger Glacier moment. Thanks to Larry Fine's site, we know it was aired on Walt Disney Television Asia and had not only animation, but life-sized puppets. The only other proof of existence I could find online was this article mentioning it won a silver medal at the Asian Television Awards. Larry Fine himself has also reportedly confirmed he did animate the series, but has no idea where to find the show either. We're now going to cover some very nostalgic online games and virtual worlds from the era, so hopefully you have some sentimental memories associated with them. Little Big Planet had a Flash game that was available between 2008 and 2011, called Little Big Planet Generator, where you could customize your own Sackboy and dress him up. Sadly, today it is unplayable, and the only thing that has resurfaced is a rip of files from the site it was hosted on. But this still doesn't allow you to play the game, all we have are some of the outfits. Tarn Gordon Rogers, who worked on the copy and creative for the website, was contacted, but she didn't have access to the game, so people are trying to figure out a way to get this Flash game back. Also, as I'm making this video, the Little Big Planet SpongeBob PSP commercial was found because I was going to include it, but that's awesome it was found so quickly. Another lost Flash game is Spore 2D. After the release of Spore, there were Wii and DS spin-offs created called Spore Hero and Spore Creatures. The Flash game's purpose was to promote them, with the incentive being you could create your Spore Hero in 3D instead of 2D. We know there was a training component with leveling up, and that players could drag creatures from the Sporepedia to be rendered in 2D. What's left of the game is its SWF file and a handful of gameplay videos. The SWF file is missing an XML file, which has made the game inoperative and stuck on the loading screen. That XML file would be needed in order to get this game running again.
Der Blob is a beloved puzzle platformer from 2008 and its sequel 2011. Its Frutiger elements are often talked about. Following the release of the second, THQ began working on an online multiplayer game for the franchise. Unfortunately, Der Blob Online was scrapped after THQ went bankrupt during its development. The existence of the game was unknown for years due to this, until a 2017 interview when it was mentioned. In 2021, a THQ employee shared a pitch trailer of the game. However, the build and assets are unavailable to the public and will likely remain lost.
Foo Pets was an online virtual game that launched in 2008 where children could adopt a pet, take care of, and play games with them. You could also decorate and breed the pets to have kittens or puppies. Foo Pets had a 12-year run until 2020 when the site shut down. Not because of Flash dying like you might expect, but because the domain expired, and Dr. Ron, the creator of the game, had long abandoned it and didn't renew the domain. It also appears Dr. Ron has an extensive sketchy past despite being talked highly of in these commercials that were aired for Foo Pets. Whoever bought the domain for a brief period of time allegedly turned it into a corn site. But now searching the URL just brings you to an error page since it seems no one owns the domain anymore. PM Me Your Ears has spoken with some mods of the old site, and regrettably, they have none of the assets and the game wasn't preserved, as nobody knew the domain was going to expire without renewal. It's a very unfortunate and convoluted story. After the success of Second Life, Google created a virtual world called ShaiiValley in an attempt to become a competitor. But they brought nothing new to the virtual world table, and it was seen as incredibly basic. Pretty much all you did was design a character and chat. It also didn't have an in-game currency system. Looking at the images and videos I could find of it, the Frutiger Aero aesthetic is there, but I'm sure no one would have cared about that back in 2008, and it flopped. The servers went down just 6 months after its release. None of the game's assets or codes have resurfaced, and will probably never. Minimatch was the first MMO that Cartoon Network made in 2007. You could explore the world using your customized character called a Mini and would play Cartoon Network themed games and puzzles. There was a point system with these games that allow you to unlock additional customizations, and articles state the world had an unfolding mystery. Minimatch closed with the release of Fusion Fall in 2009, and as of now there is no way to play it with the exception of a couple minigames from the site.
Zampo Virtual Cities was a multiplayer online game where players would create their own or collaborative cities using blocks. These were futuristic yet isometric, and all had that greenery that comes with the aesthetic. You were able to explore said cities as a robot and talk in community forums. If you were willing to pay a monthly fee, you could become a mayor, which gave you some extra abilities over the cities. Zampo shut down in 2017, and for a year, the website had a photo of the robot mascot with the text Zampo 1999 to 2017. The website is now entirely inaccessible.
What about nostalgic childhood shows? Lazy Town, featuring Frutiger hero Sporticus, has a lost episode called The Lazy Dance that was filmed during early production of the series. The plot is reportedly about the dance party that is going to be hosted for Stephanie's half-birthday, and Sporticus not knowing how to dance. So he goes to a dance class, where Robbie Rotten impersonates an instructor and teaches him terrible dance moves. When Sporticus does them at the party, the people don't laugh at him, but instead teach him how to actually dance, which frustrates Robbie. It was never released because of errors during filming, the CGI being half-rendered, and out-of-sync audio. The episode has been shown privately to crew members and a handful of others in what Lost Media Wiki calls Lazy Town-related communities, but it is lost to the public. Also, rest in peace Stefan Carl Stephenson. If you grew up in the 2000s, there's a good chance you watched Sprout, which had The Goodnight Show, an endearing program block that was aimed towards young children and helping them get ready for bedtime. It featured various things like crafts, constellations, learning sign language, and Hush the Fish. It's honestly near and dear to my heart. I had a goldfish when I was a toddler and named it Hush after the fish in the segments. So it was honestly jarring to learn the large majority of the show is lost. Not only the early seasons with Melanie and Leo, but later seasons with Nina as well. I counted only 4 in total that have been found. We can only hope to see more resurface later on.
One of the best examples of utilizing the aesthetic in 2D is Wow Wow Wubbzy. Lost pilots are always intriguing, and this show has one of its own. The art style and theme song were a little different. Wubbzy's name was Wubby, and the character widget had purple overalls instead of pink. Wubbzy's voice also sounded like the pink and blue unicorns from Charlie the Unicorn, so I think the changes were favorable.
Wow, wow, everyone!
The comments on the Lost Media Wiki article seem to think that it's actually a test animation, not an unaired pilot. So it's a little bit confusing. And funnily enough, the other Wow Wow Wubbzy Lost Medias are unclear as well, and rather bizarre.
Continuing the Wow Wow Wubbzy discourse, there are some rumors associated with its lost media. I didn't think there'd be so much Wow Wow Wubbzy lore. Multiple people online have recalled a Wow Wow Wubbzy episode featuring a Skrillex song. People speculate that everyone remembering a Skrillex Wubbzy crossover actually just watched a mashup of sorts on YouTube, but even if that is the case, said video hasn't been found. The final thing related to the series is a Wow Wow Wubbzy DS skin that is suspected to have been released in 2010 based on tweets regarding it. This is seemingly the only photo online that exists of the skin, and there's also a review for it on a website that is no longer around. The article wasn't archived either, so I'm assuming there's no way to view it. I'm kind of just wondering if anyone watching bought one of these 13 years ago, because it'd be cool to know. And it wouldn't be a Frutiger Aero video without mentioning the DS. I'm using DS as an umbrella term for all of the DS consoles, by the way, but we're overdue for DS-related lost media cases. A feature of the 3DS was Spot Pass, which later was incorporated into other DS systems and the Wii U. You were able to obtain what were known as special Miis via Spot Pass, and their unique feature were their pairs of gold pants. An abundance of these Miis were distributed over the years, with certain ones being exclusive to North America, Europe, Oceania, and Japan. So naturally, there are a handful of the Miis that haven't been found. There is an extensive spreadsheet detailing which remaining ones are lost, most being in Japan. Dumping and preserving them from either a 3DS or Wii U is a pretty simple process. It's just about finding consoles that already had the special Miis. Another perk of Spot Pass was Nintendo Video, a 3DS application that let users view and download promotional videos. The description of it read, movie trailers, sports clips, music videos, cartoons, and more, there is sure to be content to appeal to everyone. It appears that there was never proper archival of the videos featured over the years, which has resulted in them being lost. The Crazy Frog Axel F video amusingly takes place in quite a Frutiger Aero setting, and turns out there is a lost Crazy Frog DS game titled Crazy Frog Collectible Faces. It's a 2008 puzzle game, and the premise seems to be similar to the Wanted minigame from Mario 64 DS and New Super Mario Bros. There's little to no info on it, and no known copy exists. The developer's website lists the game as finished, yet it's nowhere to be found, aside from an image in another Crazy Frog game's manual. But just like the Mean Girls and McDonald's DS games that were eventually found, I'm sure Crazy Frog is sitting around somewhere and very well might pop up. I've seen Axel F be talked about as instances of Frutiger Aero music, so thought it'd be fun to discuss a couple lost songs that are also fitting. The song I am currently playing in the background has been given the nickname Bubble Dreams, but the actual name of the song is unknown. It was featured in an old vMalware video, and Reddit user SnooHabits9825 is the person who is wanting to identify the mysterious tune. A commenter on What's That Song suspects an obscure royalty-free track, but nevertheless, we can't know for sure until we find the source.
How Long Will It Take is the placeholder title for an unidentified song that originated from someone's bootleg DVD menu. I decided to include this because I feel it gives a nostalgic, sentimental, early mid-2000s energy. And the DVD menu it was on had Meet the Robinsons and Happy Feet on it. definitely feels like a time capsule to the Frutiger Aero era. Multiple people have been searching for the origin over the years, but no one has been able to find it. If you're interested in hearing more about this song, I have a video on my channel that covers it way more extensively, and hopefully it will be identified soon.
Hideki Naganuma is a composer and DJ best known for his work with Sega. He did scores for the Jet Set radio series, various Sonic entries, Super Monkey Ball 3D, along with many others. In 2012, he began posting remastered and unused tracks from the video games he'd worked with to his SoundCloud. These were then unexplainably removed in 2020 and weren't properly archived. Because of this, there isn't a confirmed list of how many songs were actually posted to his SoundCloud or YouTube. However, out of the known songs, thankfully only one remains lost. What better time to get into the comprehensive history of lost Sega mobile games? Despite Sonic Adventure 2 being released in 2001, the Chow Garden has become a Frutiger Aero icon, and I absolutely love that. It's serene and incredibly cute. That same year, Sega released a mobile service called Sonic Cafe that hosted a multitude of games. The service had a 315 yen per month fee, but you'd be able to download anything that was available without limitation. There's a huge list of games that were released between 2001 and 2007, the vast majority being lost. A notable mention is Nakayoshi Chow, which was a mobile Chow game and looks adorable based on screenshots available. There were also a few Sonic golf games, along with a ton of others that may be lost forever. I'm going to try to blast through the lost Super Monkey Ball content that I deem to be Frutiger Aero. This is another that, despite the release dates of the first few games, I undoubtedly consider it to be part of the aesthetic. Super Monkey Ball Mobile was a 2008 game released for J2ME devices. It has been lost for years, however, based on found screenshots, was a mobile port of Touch and Roll from the DS. An old news article claimed it contained 50 levels compared to Touch and Roll's 120, so we're unsure which ones specifically made it into the mobile version. Super Monkey Ball Uki Uki Seesaw is another that is lost. It was a Japan exclusive and released in 2012 for Android. It looks to be a Japanese localization of Super Monkey Ball Tip and Tilt, which isn't lost, so we probably aren't missing out on much. Lastly, there are partially lost monthly calendars that were promotional content for Super Monkey Ball 2. 14 are confirmed to have existed, with 8 of those being found. Moving on to other games, but technically this one is still developed by Sega, Hatsune Miku Project Diva is a series that has 6 main titles and additional spin-offs. Project Diva also has a lost, unreleased demo for the PSP. What's interesting about this, though, is that in either 2008 or 9, the demo actually leaked and was playable, but expectedly was taken down by Sega in no time at all. I'm sure we'll never get to play the game in its entirety, but based on the visuals we have of it, it was heavy on the FA aesthetic. Aerocross is an unreleased Namco game that was intended for the Xbox 360 and PS3. It had a 2011 to 2012 expected release date, but ultimately was cancelled. There are builds for both consoles out there, and thankfully the Xbox 360 version has been found, but the PS3 remains lost. There is a playable demo for the PS3 version, but the full build has never surfaced.
Doritos Crash Course 2 was an Xbox Live Arcade game released in 2013 and had an online requirement. However, due to this online requirement, when the servers shut down in October of 2014, it rendered the game unplayable. A connection to the servers is necessary just to get past the loading screen. To make matters more difficult, it was taken from the Microsoft Store in 2014 as well. So therefore, the only people that can access the game at all are those that have an Xbox 360 with a copy still on it. The only hope for this game is if someone can figure out a way to bypass the loading screen and successfully dump the game's contents.
The next entry is from the same developer as the Crazy Frog collectible phases, that being Jamster All-Stars, the cancelled PS2 and PC action-adventure game. These people must have really loved viral singing animal cartoons, because this was going to be about popular characters from the 2000s Jamster ringtones, including Sweetie the Chick. The plot was going on a journey to get their stolen musical notes back, so they'd be able to make ringtones again. And Crazy Frog was the one that stole them. An article described the worlds as futuristic cities and the cyber realm of the mobile phone. It is unknown if anyone owns the build of this game, and Mercury Company, the developer, has since gone out of business. Meteos Online is a lost Japanese computer game that was full of Frutiger bubbliness. That's the best way I can describe it. The gameplay itself looks pretty Tetris-y, and there are Meteos releases for the DS and Xbox 360 that are available. For the computer game though, there's no telling if it'll ever be found. In 2001, Nintendo released a Pikmin-inspired Flash game called Space Force. You would take a personality quiz to find out which team you'd be put on, then go on a type of online scavenger hunt to find advertisements that would give you these colored pellets. The object being to increase your team's total amount of pellets. It sounds like it was mostly just a marketing strategy for Pikmin, not so much an engaging game, but there's currently no way to play it, and considering the pellet advertisements expanded to other sites, we'll likely be at least partially lost forever. Let's end off the video with some other Frutiger Aero technology that are currently lost. Starting with Pokemon PC Master, a Japanese educational game for young children. It taught typing, drawing, and general internet skills. The CD-ROM trial version has already been found, and there is even one for sale on eBay today. But the website itself that hosted the full version shut down in 2007, and the game was only available via paid subscription.
Given the popularity of UB Funkies, companies understandably wanted to make similar products in hope they'd end up successful. Mattel and Girltech teamed up to make FAMPS, another Toys to Life game. It also let users customize their desktops, emails, and each FAMP came with their own minigames. It was discontinued after a short 2-year run, and the only official advertising found is this commercial and the support page on the Mattel site. Despite its limited functionality, the Mac version of the game was found, but the PC one has stayed lost.
Something we haven't really gone over in this video yet is the technological advancements that were always talked about during the FA era. How we thought the future was going to look. Obviously, we've come an absurdly long way, but the world doesn't look like what the 2000s vision of the future was. Plus E was a touchscreen device that was installed at restaurants and pub tables across Japan in the early 2000s. They were like those Applebee's tablets, but with a Frutiger zest. You could even get your fortune read along with a colossal amount of other things. There is a list of the games and content that were available, but after the removal of them in 2005, it's impossible to access them as of now. With the iQue, we've kind of circled back to the beginning of this with the Wii and all. iQue was a Chinese localization for various Nintendo consoles and games. It was created in collaboration with Nintendo in an attempt to get around China's ban on video games. They had their own versions of the N64, Game Boy Advance, DS, and 3DS. In addition to this, there were unreleased GameCube and Wii localizations. Several games for every console are lost, but on the bright side, there's still a decent amount that have been found and hope for the future. I hope you enjoyed this video. I absolutely loved putting it together in this extremely niche mix of two of my favorite things. It's sometimes nice to take a trip down memory lane and either visit memories of things we saw with our own eyes that are now lost, or the more obscure side of lost media. Thank you to ShaiiValley for being a part of this, and to Vaporama, the person who made the gorgeous animation for the intro. And thank you.